What's the true age of consent? The age of consent shouldn't be 16, 18, or any adolescent age, for that matter. How did government and society as a whole get this wrong? First of all, the age of consent should not be a single number applied to all situations, but should instead depend on the specific situation or context being discussed. However, the particular discussion we are about to have concerns the age of consent in relation to sexual intercourse. The age of consent should be aligned with the average age when a young adult joins the workforce and begins to earn sufficient income to take care of his/her responsibilities, whatever those may be. Sexual intercourse is a big responsibility. It comes with a myriad of possible outcomes such as sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, and pregnancy. These possible outcomes can cause a young person to incur significant expenses at the hospital, and they can contribute greatly to the social, economic, and other costs which have to be borne by any society. Activities which carry significant potential costs should only be undertaken by persons who are in a position to bear those costs. In that regard, it is wrong for a 16-year-old girl to be having sexual intercourse while living in her parents' house. Is it that all the potential consequences of her actions will now become the responsibility of her mother and father if those consequences should materialize? This would mean that if she becomes pregnant, her mother and father will have to find the money to take care of her child. Similarly, if she should contract a sexually transmitted disease, her parents will have to cover her medical expenses. That is unfair to her parents and also amounts to a waste of their money, especially if she attends school. Shouldn't the teenager be working to pay her own bills? Shouldn't she be accountable for the repercussions of her own actions? Shouldn't sexual activity and other such adult behaviors be reserved for persons who are working and earning adequate income to pay their way out of their own mess? Parents bail out teenagers for fights and breaking things. However, they should not be bailing out teenagers for indulging in activities that should strictly be the purview of mature, responsible adults. Sexual intercourse involves two persons, a male and a female. If there are unintended consequences such as pregnancy, it is the responsibility of both the male and the female to deal with those consequences. It should also be understood that the male should stand by his responsibility whether he stays in the relationship or not. Sex cannot be used as a tool of free enjoyment by persons who don't have the financial resources to deal with its potential costs. Weren't schools created for us to pursue and develop our talents and skills and go out into the working world to earn an income and finance ourselves, whether we find a companion or not? By becoming educated and productive adults, we can comfortably meet the expenses of daily life such as our mortgage or rent, food, clothing, medical expenses, and so on. Wasn't that the reason why we went to school for so many years, so that we can continue the cycle of life, take care of ourselves as independent adults, and give our parents the chance to rest and relax in their retirement years? How did the society get to a stage where parents now have to be taking responsibility for the actions of their young adult children? When these children were being raised, why wasn't emphasis being placed on the importance of responsibility? Why wasn't there enough discussion on both the positive and negative consequences that can arise from various choices, decisions, and actions? Why weren't these young people made to understand both the sweet and sour sides of life? Why wasn't understanding understood? Or perhaps the question which should be asked is, why is it that some young people accept their responsibilities and some don't? Is it that we live what we see, or it is that some just have the ambition and know what they want in life? Why do some young adults leave their parents' home, build a proper foundation for their lives, and then take up responsibilities and successfully deal with it? And why can't other young people do the same? No one is perfect and people make mistakes, but this is no mistake. Through the influence of the media, peer pressure, and popular culture, teenagers are taught that it is okay to have sex, you are human and the urge will be there for it. On the other hand, they are told that if they kill and steal, they will be punished. We want to set our own tune and dance to it when in fact the tune was already set for us to live by it. The age of consent should be an age when a young person is ready to deal with all the potential ramifications of sexual intercourse, not an age when the young person is still in the midst of their physical, mental, and intellectual development. When the development process is completed, that is when young adults should leave their parents' home, venture out on their own, make their own rules, buy their own food and clothing, and pay their own bills. Am I different or am I making sense? Subscribe, like, share. Do you agree that the age of sexual consent should be when a young person starts to earn their own money? Drop a comment below and see you next time on Real Life Reasoning channel.